Welcome back to the World Numismatic Finds, and today we have something truly special lined up for all lovers of history and collectors alike. We'll be taking a closer look at 5 remarkable coins that each carry their own story, design, and value, yet all share the power to connect us directly with the past. These coins are far more than pieces of metal. They are miniature works of art, witnesses to history, and treasures that continue to capture attention in today's market. From their cultural significance and striking details to their rarity and collector demand, each of these coins holds a place of prestige, and by the end of this video you'll see exactly why they remain so highly sought after around the world. Let's get started up with the United Kingdom's 1 penny coin of 1920 in fine condition. This particular coin holds a unique place in history, both as an everyday piece of currency that circulated widely across Britain during the early 20th century, and now as a highly desirable item among collectors across the globe. If you are interested in rare coins, historical treasures, or simply wish to learn more about the stories that old money can tell, then this is a coin well worth exploring. To begin with a little background, the 1920 penny falls within the reign of King George V, who ruled from 1910 until 1936. This period in British history was marked by enormous change, from the devastation of the First World War to the social and economic adjustments that followed. The penny was one of the most important denominations in everyday use, forming the backbone of the British monetary system long before decimalisation. The 1920 issue in particular was struck during a transitional era, when changes in metallurgy and coin production were being considered, and when Britain was still dealing with the aftereffects of the Great War. This gives the coin not only financial but also cultural and historical weight. When we turn to the head and tail representation, we find on the obverse, or the head side, a portrait of King George V facing left. His image is finely detailed, with a neatly trimmed moustache and the inscription around the edge reading George Ives V Dei Gra, Brit, OMN, Rex FID, Def, IND, IMP, which translates as George V, by the grace of God, King of all the Britons, Defender of the Faith, Emperor of India. This legend reflects Britain's global influence at the time. On the reverse, or tail side, we see the iconic seated figure of Britannia, a powerful symbol of national pride and strength. She is depicted with a trident in one hand and a shield by her side, looking outward over the seas, which represents Britain's naval supremacy and imperial reach. The word 1 penny is inscribed boldly, with the date 1920 placed beneath her feet. The imagery and inscriptions on this coin are a reflection of national identity and the British Empire at its height. In terms of cultural and historical value, the 1920 penny is not simply a coin, but a small but tangible link to a very different Britain. It represents a time when the empire stretched across the globe, when coins carried powerful symbols of unity, strength, and authority. For collectors and historians, holding such a coin is akin to holding a piece of living history, a reminder of the craftsmanship of the Royal Mint and the importance of coinage as both a functional and symbolic tool in everyday life. The weight of the coin is also worth mentioning. The 1921 penny was struck in bronze, with a standard weight of approximately 9.45 grams and a diameter of 30.81 millimeters. Its solid and heavy feel in the hand is one of the reasons why many collectors find pre-decimal coins so appealing. Unlike modern lightweight coinage, the 1920 penny has a sturdiness and durability that speak to a time when coins were designed to last decades in circulation. Some key facts about this coin add to its intrigue. The 1920 penny was part of a series struck throughout the reign of George V, but the condition in which these coins survive today makes a substantial difference in their desirability. Many pennies from this year were heavily circulated, used daily in shops and markets, and thus worn down over time. Finding one in fine condition, with clear details on the King's portrait and Britannia's figure, is becoming less common as each year passes. This scarcity in higher grades has fueled strong demand from serious collectors, particularly those seeking to complete date runs of George V pennies. The rarity and condition of the coin are crucial factors in determining its value. While the 1920 penny is not among the rarest of British coins, its age and the challenge of locating well-preserved examples mean it remains highly collectible. Coins graded in fine condition retain enough detail to be attractive, while avoiding the excessive where that renders many examples unappealing to collectors. As such, the coin sits in a favourable position, not impossibly rare, but rare enough in quality condition to spark competitive interest. In today's market, the value of a 1920 penny in fine condition can range quite significantly, depending on the specific appeal and the demand at auction. At present, collectors in the United States and internationally are willing to pay anywhere from around $1,000 to $2,500 for a fine condition piece, with higher prices being achieved for coins with exceptional eye appeal or provenance. The global nature of coin collecting means that British pre-decimal coins continue to find buyers not just in the UK, but also across Europe, North America, and beyond, ensuring strong market activity. For collectors who wish to add the 1920 penny to their collection, there are a few important tips to keep in mind. Firstly, always ensure that you are purchasing from a reputable dealer or auction house, as authenticity is paramount in numismatics. Secondly, pay close attention to condition, as even small differences in wear, patina, or surface marks can make a big impact on desirability and value. Finally, remember that coins like the 1920 penny are not just financial investments, but historical treasures that deserve to be preserved and cared for properly. Storing them in protective holders and keeping them in stable conditions will help maintain their condition for generations to come. In conclusion, the 1 penny coin of the United Kingdom from 1920 in fine condition is a remarkable piece of history. It represents not only the reign of King George V and the strength of Britain during the interwar years, but also the artistry and symbolism of the Royal Mint's coinage. With its cultural and historical resonance, its tangible weight and presence, and its growing scarcity in collector-worthy condition, this coin enjoys steady demand and an enduring place in the world of numismatics. Whether you are an experienced collector or just beginning your journey into the fascinating study of old coins, the 1920 penny stands as a wonderful example of how even the most humble of denominations can carry with it an extraordinary story. At number 2, the 1929 1 penny coin of the United Kingdom. For many people, coins are simply a means of everyday transaction, but for collectors and history enthusiasts, they represent a tangible link to the past, carrying with them stories of heritage, design, and cultural importance. The 1929 penny, especially when found in fine condition, has become a treasure among enthusiasts, not only for its age but also for its historical context and collectible rarity, making it a subject of genuine intrigue in the global coin market today. The background of this coin takes us to the reign of King George V, a monarch who played a significant role in guiding Britain through the turbulence of the First World War and into the interwar years. By 1929, Britain was still recovering from the economic aftermath of the war, and the coinage of the time reflected stability and tradition. The 1 penny coin struck in this year continued a design that had been in circulation for decades, a design instantly recognizable to anyone familiar with pre-decimal British currency. This was a period when coins were not only practical currency but also miniature works of art, embodying both authority and national pride. On examining the head and tail representation of the 1929 penny, the obverse, or the head, features the left-facing portrait of King George V, created by the acclaimed engraver Bertram McKennell. The king's image is encircled by the Latin inscription Georgievs V Dei Gra, Brit, OMN, Rex Fid, Def, IND, IMP, translating to George V by the grace of God, King of all the Britons, Defender of the Faith, Emperor of India. This regal profile not only gave the coin an authoritative presence but also reminded the public of Britain's far-reaching empire. On the reverse, often referred to as the tail, we see the seated figure of Britannia, holding a trident in one hand and a shield in the other, a design that had been in place since 1860. Britannia symbolized strength, unity, and Britain's enduring command of the seas, an image that gave the penny a distinctive cultural identity. The cultural and historical value of this coin lies in its representation of an era when Britain was navigating a complex interwar period. The 1929 penny connects us with the daily life of people at that time, whether spent in shops, on the street, or tucked away in savings jars. Coins like these are cultural artifacts, reminding us of how money was not only a tool of commerce but also an emblem of imperial power and national pride. They carry the echoes of Britain's maritime supremacy, its monarchic traditions, and the artistry of early 20th century coin production. In terms of its physical characteristics, the 1929 penny weighs 9.45 grams and is made of bronze, composed of 95% copper, with small proportions of tin and zinc to strengthen the alloy. Its diameter measures 30.8 millimeters, making it a solid and weighty coin compared to modern-day currency. When held in the hand, it feels substantial, a true representation of value from a time before lightweight, modern alloys became the standard. Key facts about the 1929 penny make it especially appealing for collectors. It was minted in large numbers for general circulation, but with the passage of time, many have been lost, damaged, or corroded, leaving relatively few surviving in fine or better condition. A well-preserved coin from this year retains sharp details of King George's portrait and the figure of Britannia, with a pleasing natural patina that demonstrates its age yet preserves its beauty. Its continued collectability comes not just from age but also from its role in the broader narrative of British coinage. When considering rarity and condition, it is worth noting that while the 1929 penny itself is not the rarest coin of the period, coins graded as fine or above are becoming increasingly scarce due to the natural wear of circulation over nearly a century. Collectors place a high demand on coins that maintain strong definition in the portrait and reverse design, and any example free from scratches or corrosion instantly commands greater attention in the market. Rarity in numismatics is often defined not just by how many were minted, but how many have survived in desirable condition, and the 1929 penny embodies that principle perfectly. Now, when we turn to the current market value, the excitement for collectors truly begins. In today's market, a 1929 one-penny coin of the United Kingdom in fine condition can command anywhere between $25,000 to $30,000 depending on the seller, provenance, and exact preservation. For higher grades, the value can climb even further, as sharp details and eye appeal significantly increase demand among dedicated collectors. Considering that this was once a humble penny, its transformation into a collectible piece of history makes it a prized acquisition for those who seek to build meaningful collections. For those interested in collecting such coins, there are a few tips worth keeping in mind. Always ensure that the coin has been preserved carefully, avoiding harsh cleaning which can reduce its desirability. Seek coins that display natural toning, strong details in both the portrait of King George V and the seated Britannia, and a consistent surface free from corrosion. Consulting with reputable dealers or auction houses is essential for ensuring authenticity, and keeping coins in protective holders will help maintain their condition for years to come. In conclusion, the 1929 one-penny coin of the United Kingdom stands as a wonderful representation of British history, artistry, and tradition. From its striking portrait of King George V to the enduring symbol of Britannia, it captures a moment in time when coins were more than currency, they were statements of national pride and identity. Today, its market value may be measured in dollars, but its true worth lies in its cultural and historical significance, and in the joy it brings to collectors worldwide. If you are fortunate enough to hold one in fine condition, you not only possess a piece of currency but also a genuine artifact of Britain's rich numismatic heritage, one that will only continue to grow in desirability in the years ahead. At number 3, the United Kingdom's one-penny coin of 1917, preserved in fine condition. At first glance, a penny may seem like a modest object, but this particular coin is far more than just small change. It is a window into Britain's past, a witness to the struggles of the First World War, and a highly sought-after treasure that continues to attract the admiration and investment of collectors worldwide. To understand its significance, we need to step back to the year 1917. Britain was locked in the midst of the Great War, with every resource dedicated to the nation's survival. Even in such difficult times, coinage remained essential, and the Royal Mint produced pennies that found their way into the hands of everyday people. Each coin carried the weight of history, as millions of soldiers and civilians alike relied on them during an era defined by sacrifice and resilience. While many were produced, countless examples were lost, worn out, or damaged in circulation, which is why surviving specimens in better grades are so deeply prized today. On the obverse, or head side, the 1917 penny features the dignified portrait of King George V. Around his image runs the traditional Latin inscription, a mark of Britain's long-standing customs of monarchy and empire. The reverse, or tail side, is no less impressive. It proudly displays Britannia seated, holding her trident and shield, a symbol of national strength and naval supremacy. The artistry is deeply evocative, offering a glimpse of how the coin was not only currency but also a piece of patriotic symbolism during one of the most testing periods in the nation's story. The cultural and historical significance of this coin cannot be overstated. Every 1,917 pennies serves as a reminder of Britain's role in shaping global history, its perseverance during wartime, and the traditions that defined an era. To own such a coin is to hold a silent witness to the daily struggles of families coping with rationing and the experiences of soldiers returning home. For this reason, the coin is far more than bronze. It is a preserved memory of endurance and unity. In terms of its physical characteristics, the 1917 penny was struck in bronze, weighing approximately 9.45 grams with a diameter of about 30.8 millimeters. These specifications were standard for pennies of the time, ensuring their durability in circulation. Collectors often remark on the tactile quality of these coins, and those that have retained their natural patina or fine detail over the decades hold even greater appeal. There are several key points that make the 1917 penny especially attractive. It was issued in the midst of a world war. It bears the portrait of George V, a monarch whose coinage is among the most collected of the 20th century, and it features the timeless Britannia design. Together, these qualities elevate the coin well above its humble face value, giving it lasting appeal among collectors and investors. The rarity and condition of surviving examples play a central role in determining demand. Because most of the coins were heavily used in circulation, examples that remain in fine or better condition are increasingly hard to find. Collectors value sharp detail in the King's profile and Britannia's features, and these well-preserved specimens consistently outperform lower-grade examples at auction. Rarity, coupled with condition, makes this coin one of the hidden gems of early 20th century British coinage. Now, let's talk about value. In today's market, a 1-penny coin of 1917 in fine condition has reached impressive heights. While heavily worn examples might fetch a modest sum, coins in fine and higher grades can command anywhere from several hundred to several $1,000s. At the very top end, when preserved in exceptional quality and sought by serious collectors, values can climb astonishingly high, with some fine and rare pieces now selling for as much as $35,000. This remarkable figure underlines just how strong demand has become and reflects the growing recognition of the coin's historical and cultural importance. For those considering adding a 1917 penny to their collection, there are a few wise steps to follow. Always seek coins that retain their original detail and avoid pieces that show significant corrosion or damage. Purchasing from established dealers or reputable auction houses is advisable, as authenticity is key in the world of numismatics. Once obtained, proper storage is essential. Protective cases or holders will ensure the coin is shielded from environmental damage, preserving its condition for generations to come. Beyond investment, remember that collecting is also about passion, discovery, and the joy of connecting with history through tangible artifacts. To conclude, the United Kingdom's 1917 1-penny coin in fine condition stands out as more than just a piece of bronze currency. It embodies the resilience of a nation during the Great War, carries the dignified image of King George V, and displays the enduring power of Britannia. With its rarity, cultural depth, and increasing value in today's market, sometimes reaching an extraordinary $35,000, this coin has firmly established itself as an object of high demand among collectors. Owning one is like holding a piece of living history, a timeless link between Britain's past and present, and a treasure that continues to inspire fascination around the world. At number 4, the 1944 1-penny coin of the United Kingdom, a humble copper coin that, in fine condition, has become one of the most intriguing and surprisingly valuable pieces for collectors around the world. At first glance, it may simply look like an ordinary old penny, but the truth is, this particular coin holds remarkable cultural and monetary value, and in recent years its demand has soared far beyond what most people would expect from such a small denomination. To fully appreciate its worth, we must step back into the background of Britain in the year 1944. The Second World War was at its height, resources were stretched thin, and every aspect of daily life was affected by rationing and economic strain. The coinage of that period reflects the resilience of a nation determined to carry on despite adversity. The 1-penny coin struck in 1944 carried not only monetary value but also symbolic weight, circulating in the pockets of soldiers, workers, and families across the country. Its presence connected the home front with the battlefield, and that alone gives it immense historical depth. Turning to the head and tail representation, on the obverse of the coin we find the effigy of King George VI, his portrait dignified and strong, representing the monarchy's steady leadership during wartime Britain. The inscription surrounding his image proclaims his titles, grounding the coin in the constitutional traditions of the United Kingdom. On the reverse, the coin proudly displays Britannia, seated with her trident and shield, an enduring symbol of British power, endurance, and maritime heritage. This classical design had already been part of the penny for generations, but in the 1940s, it spoke louder than ever of Britain's determination to remain steadfast against all odds. The cultural and historical values tied to this coin cannot be overstated. It is not just a means of exchange but a token of identity, representing a time when Britain stood united in the face of global conflict. For collectors today, it is more than metal. It is a piece of history preserved in their hands, a reminder of endurance, patriotism, and the everyday lives of people who carried it through one of the most defining decades in modern history. When we speak about the technical details, the 1944 1-penny coin was struck in bronze, weighing around 9.4 grams, and measured 30.8 millimeters in diameter. These specifications were standard for the denomination at that time, yet every authentic surviving piece feels as though it carries far more weight than its modest grams suggest, given the immense significance behind it. Several key facts make this coin highly appealing for collectors. Firstly, the sheer survival of these coins in fine or very fine condition is unusual, because most circulated heavily during wartime. Many were worn down through years of use, so examples that retain sharp details of the King's portrait and Britannia's features are increasingly hard to come by. Secondly, it is part of a wartime series, which always has a strong allure for collectors who prize pieces that connect directly to global historical events. Lastly, demand has been steadily rising because collectors from outside the UK, particularly in the United States and parts of Asia, have recognized its importance and added pressure to the market. The rarity and condition are what truly drive collector demand. Coins that have survived in fine or extremely fine condition are few and far between, and when they appear at auctions or in specialist collections, they generate a great deal of excitement. A 1944 one-penny coin in fine condition can today command a market value of around $19,500, while examples in exceptional and near-mint condition have been known to fetch as high as $27,800, depending on the provenance and the appeal to eager bidders. These figures may seem extraordinary for a coin that once had such a small face value, but they reflect the incredible growth in the numismatic market for historical British coins. For those who are interested in adding such a treasure to their collection, a few tips are always worth remembering. Always look for coins that show strong detail in the king's portrait and clear definition in Britannia's figure, as these are marks of higher grade condition. Ensure authenticity by purchasing from reputable dealers or well-established auction houses, as the coin's value has encouraged counterfeits to emerge in recent years. And above all, treat these coins with care. Proper storage in protective cases and avoidance of cleaning will help maintain their value for generations to come. In conclusion, the 1944 one-penny coin of the United Kingdom is not just a relic of wartime Britain, but a highly prized collector's item whose value has grown dramatically in today's market. With its deep historical ties, cultural symbolism, and increasing rarity, it has become one of the standout coins for collectors who appreciate both heritage and investment potential. Whether admired for its artistry, its story, or its impressive market worth, the 1944 penny remains a shining example of how even the smallest denominations can hold the greatest treasures. At last position, the one-penny coin of the United Kingdom from the year 1916. This is a coin steeped in history, carrying not only its face value from over a century ago but also immense cultural and collectible worth today. If you're a numismatics enthusiast or simply intrigued by historical artifacts, you'll soon see why this coin is considered such a treasure. The story of the 1916 penny begins during a tumultuous time in world history. Britain was in the middle of the First World War, and coins such as this were minted in large numbers to meet everyday needs. Despite being a common coin in circulation back then, the 1916 issue has since gained recognition due to its age, condition, and the remarkable link it provides to Britain's wartime era. Holding one is like holding a fragment of the early 20th century, giving us a window into the daily lives of those who used it during such a challenging period. When we look at the design, the head side of the coin proudly displays the profile of King George V, who was the reigning monarch at the time. His portrait faces left and is surrounded by the Latin inscription that translates to George V, by the grace of God, King of all the Britons, Defender of the Faith, Emperor of India. This inscription reminds us of Britain's global influence at the height of the empire. On the reverse, or the tail side, we see the iconic seated figure of Britannia, armed with trident and shield, a symbol of strength, naval supremacy, and unity. This image had appeared on pennies for decades, and for many it embodies the resilience of the nation itself. Beyond its design, the 1916 penny carries cultural and historical values that make it particularly appealing. It was not just a piece of currency but a part of everyday life for millions, exchanged in shops, markets, and workplaces at a time when the country was rallying together during war. Each coin circulated among ordinary citizens, bearing silent witness to the resilience and determination of an entire generation. For collectors today, owning such a piece is not simply about possession, but about connecting with that shared heritage. The coin itself was struck in bronze, weighing around 9.45 grams, with a diameter of 30.8 millimeters, making it a substantial piece compared with the smaller coins we use today. Its size, weight, and striking design make it both visually and physically satisfying to hold, and these factors contribute to its ongoing popularity among collectors. Now let's look at some key facts. The coin was minted in the Royal Mint with huge numbers produced for circulation. However, while the original mintage was large, the survival rate of coins in truly fine condition is much smaller. Many were heavily worn through everyday use, and as the decades rolled on, countless examples were lost, damaged, or melted down. That's why finding a 1916 penny in fine or better condition is far less common today, and why collectors value it so highly. Rarity and condition play a central role in determining the desirability of any coin, and the 1916 penny is no exception. While a worn piece may only attract modest interest, an example preserved in fine condition or better can command serious attention. Collectors know that demand is particularly strong for coins with crisp details, sharp edges, and minimal wear. The higher the grade, the greater the demand, and the more impressive the market value. And speaking of value, let's explore the current market. For a 1916 penny in fine condition, collectors are now willing to pay significant sums. In today's market, such a coin can achieve values reaching around $19,800, while examples in extremely fine or near uncirculated states can exceed $27,600. These figures show just how sought after this coin has become, with prices reflecting both its scarcity in top condition and its historic allure. For anyone fortunate enough to own one, it represents not just a piece of history but also a very sound investment. For collectors looking to acquire a 1916 penny, there are a few tips to bear in mind. First, authenticity is key, so always source coins from reputable dealers, trusted auctions, or well-established numismatic communities. Secondly, pay close attention to the condition. Even the smallest details can make a big difference to value. Finally, remember that coins such as this are long-term investments. They not only hold their value but can appreciate significantly over time as demand continues to grow among enthusiasts worldwide. In conclusion, the 1 penny coin of the United Kingdom from 1916 is far more than an old piece of bronze. It is a tangible link to a pivotal era in British history, a showcase of artistry and design, and a highly desirable item in today's numismatic market. With values ranging well into the tens of thousands of dollars for the finest examples, it is a coin that continues to inspire admiration and competition among collectors. Whether you're a seasoned enthusiast or just starting out, the 1916 penny remains a shining example of why coin collecting is such a fascinating and rewarding pursuit. Thank you so much for watching and spending time with us on this fascinating journey into the world of rare coins. I hope you enjoyed discovering the history, beauty, and value behind these remarkable pieces, and perhaps even felt inspired to look more closely at coins in your own collection. If you found this video helpful or entertaining, don't forget to give it a like, share it with fellow collectors, and subscribe to the channel for more stories about rare and valuable treasures from around the world. Your support means a great deal, and it keeps us motivated to bring you even more exciting content. Until next time, happy collecting, and we'll see you in the next video.